For most folks, Southern Vermont is the most familiar part of the state. That's because it's the most accessible. But the area is really two regions, depending on which side of the mountains you're on. In the east, there's the Connecticut Valley with its quiet pace. A little-known secret of this area is the apple blossoms of May. Around Brattleboro and Putney, there are beautiful orchards that provide a wonderful vision of spring. And there are the preservation towns. Grafton has been preserved by the Wyndham Foundation, and it maintains the feel of an unspoiled Vermont small town. The old tavern at Grafton, in the middle of the town, dates from just after the Revolution. This is a classic old village inn with a real sense of history. And up the road a piece, there's Weston. Its green and bandstand are the stuff of Victorian fantasy. The town prides itself on its preservation ethic, and everywhere you look, you're treated to the visual delights of the Vermont small town. Across the mountains, southwest Vermont has a history of tourism and hospitality. In Manchester, Abraham Lincoln's son Robert summered here at Hildene. Manchester continues to be quite a tourist center now, so exploring it often requires some patience. This hospitality image means that many Americans associate Vermont with the quaint and quiet rustic charms of the country inn, especially after the success of the Newhart Show. And just as in the Newhart Show, most Vermont innkeepers really are from elsewhere, probably New York. But they're Vermonters now. However, when you get down to talking to them, you find that the reality of running a Vermont inn is quite different from the Newhart stereotype. At the Wilder homestead in Weston, Roy and Peg Varner are perhaps typical of the real Vermont innkeepers.
Well, we tell people we're more like Faulty Towers than we are the Bob Newhart Show. And you spend a lot of long, hard hours for very little income.
I don't think Newhart's ever worked. George worked, so Roy's George. And so Roy, having the background of being a builder and knowing what to do, has done all the work himself so that we could have it as an inn.
Up in Tyson at the Echo Lake Inn, Phil and Kathy Coco find that the TV image means that their guests often have odd expectations.
They'll come in many times, especially during a ski on a Saturday night when the dining room will feed 140 people and there are people all over the place, and they'll come in and they'll say, oh, we just wanted a quaint little inn. You know, we like it when there's no one here. They think of Bob Newhart Show because he never has any guests, or rarely does. So when they come, they don't want to have anyone, around. And we have 26 rooms.
In South Woodstock, at the award-winning Kedron Valley Inn, Max Cummings has a similar view of the Newhart myth.
This is a very large inn for a couple to own and manage themselves, with a staff that runs up to as many as 40 people when we're really busy. And it's always something. There is no way that Bob Newhart had any concept of what being an innkeeper was all about.
Southern Vermont is full of other attractions. In the southwest corner of the state is Bennington. The old Congregational Church here is next to the graveyard where Robert Frost is buried. And the Bennington Battle Monument commemorates a battle that was fought in nearby New York State. Mostly, though, a visit to Southern Vermont is like a visit to anywhere in Vermont. It's the quiet wonders of the farm-dappled hills, and it's the joy of being pleasantly at peace with the world. Trout fishing the Vermont River has long been a favorite pursuit. Throughout the state, there are a number of beautiful trout streams, all of them interesting. Author Walter Wetherill has fished most of them.
The Waits River happens to be the river I know best and love best, and it happens to be in Vermont. On the other hand, Vermont does seem to be full of good trout streams in a way the other New England states aren't. I suppose it has something to do with the gentleness of the hills, the foothills, the care with which the farmers have taken care of the land over the years so that the rivers that exist, the water quality remains very high. The net result is that you have some rivers over there. They're absolutely beautiful. Well, there's the Battenkill, of course, which is the famous stream in southwestern Vermont that is one of the shrines of American fly fishing. There's a Dog River, which is near the state capital, Montpelier, which is excellent fishing, 5 miles from a big town. There's the Winooski, which is a gently flowing river, much different than the other ones I've mentioned, but that also has trout in its headwaters. Those are some of my favorites. I have some that are secret.
Walter has captured the poetry of trout fishing in his book, The Vermont River.
The perfect river does not exist. The lesson is drummed in every time a fisherman goes out. Plans are planned, hopes hoped, dreams dreamt, and subtly but surely the magic river of our desire begins to flow. No river can match the rivers of our imagination. We stock them with 14-inch trout that rise readily to the fly, grace them with abundant shade and gentle breezes, preserve them from harm. There are no dams in our imaginary rivers, no pollution, no highways, no debris. As beautiful as they are, the trout rivers that flow into the Connecticut and Vermont are not wilderness streams, and the towns that border them have their poverty and trailers and junkyards like everywhere else. Fly fishing is the only means I have to enter into the hidden life of a stream, and in a remarkably literal way, so that if my cast has been a good one and my reflex is sharp, that life, the energy of its fishy emissary, pulses up a taut leader through a taut line down a curved rod to my tensed arm, and by the excitement of that conveyance, to my heart. Fly fishing is a discipline that in sensitive hands can account for a special perspective, putting its practitioners, by its very nature, into a closer, more harmonious association with the river they fish. When the fly fisherman goes empty-handed to the river, merely to sit and watch, he notices half the incidents and events he would notice if he brought a rod. The concentration fly fishing demands being the price of admission to the intimacy he's after. The truth of a river comes in fishing it. Merge the fisher and the writer, merge the river and the word. The perfect river does not exist. My Vermont river does.